Well, I think it's officially silly season as we start randomly chatting about who and what the Avs should trade for. To be honest, we've been doing it for a little while, but we're really diving in. And now, welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365. A little behind the scenes for you. We're recording a bunch of our trade deadline frenzy videos off air, but there are a few guys, maybe more than a few, that didn't quite make the trade board list that we wanted to talk about today, so we'll get into some of those. But before that, we do have some news articles to get to, both Avs related and technically not Avs related. Let's start with this. Juuso Valimaki clears waivers today. Not picked up by not just the Avs, but not picked up by anyone in the league. Obviously, I've been a Valimaki fanboy for a long time, so is my judgment just clouded here, or does it feel like a missed opportunity for the Avs and some other teams?
Look, I know two factors here I think are driving a large part of this. His play this year is not nearly as good as it was the last two seasons, and he signed through next season as well at $2 million.
It's true.
That said, okay. He's
still
a
good.
He's a big, smooth skating defensive defenseman signed for $2 million. I'm sorry. What's the problem here? Like, what would be the hang up for the Avalanche in this case? They have about $5 million to spend at the deadline. If they were to, just theoretically, they were to claim Valimaki and send Shillington down, it goes to $4 million after all the math ends up mathing.
Yep.
So what's the problem? Again, what's the problem here? Like, yes, this is not going to solve any of their bigger picture issues, but this is a young, good third pairing defenseman that would help them. And I'm sorry, but he's so much better than all these other guys they've been running out there. Calvin DeHaan, Oliver Shillington, Keaton Middleton, Sam Malinsky. Juuso Valimaki's better than all these guys. What are we doing here? Like, what? I will leave all of the other dumb decision making by the other GMs to them and their team, but specifically focused on the Avalanche. You're going to what? Over the next 2 weeks. Now, I'm sorry, but over the next 2 weeks, they're going to trade for a defenseman, and I'm going to view it through the lens of how does that compare to just claiming Juuso Valimaki for free? Just claiming him. And I'm feeling pretty comfortable that it's going to be stupid and I'm going to be pissed, especially if it's Andrew Peeke or David Savard, especially, will be upsetting. It just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's bad management, in my opinion. I'm going to assume that there is an off-ice issue that is also playing a role in this, and that there's either an injury or there's a personality thing. There's something behind the scenes, because strictly from a pure hockey perspective, this is dumb. It's dumb and it's bad. You had a free shot at a good hockey player who is 26 years old. He probably has 6 to 8 NHL seasons left in him. And what? Like, there has to be something else going on here, because to let that just pass you by while you're having defensive problems, a guy who excels defending the front of his own net, while you're giving up goals in front of your own net every single game, while you're lacking physicality, while you're lacking heart, while you're lacking strength, and letting that dude just roll on through waivers, it's so stupid. I'm genuinely annoyed by this. Most of the time, I can just get through whatever, and it's fine. Like, I'm like, yeah, all right, I get where they're coming from. I understand. I may not agree, but I understand. This makes me crazy. I'm not allowed to use adult language anymore, but this makes me crazy. I will be using adult language all evening when I'm yelling at my girlfriend, who does not care about this, and she has to listen to me just be so annoyed by this. Because you could try to fix your problems, or you could just sit there and do nothing. And that's what we saw today. We saw an Avalanche team do nothing. Dumb.
I
dumb.
I guess my confusion on it is what's the downside really? Like, let's say he's so bad. He comes in as just awful and is unplayable, which I don't think would be the case. But let's just say it happens. You have to bury him and it ends up being $1 million cap hit for 1 year. Like, would that really be an untenable situation if it goes worst case scenario? And realistically, as you already said, he's probably an improvement on multiple of the guys at the bottom of this decor. I I don't know. E. Maybe you know better than I do.
Well, I know I totally agree. Obviously, had him worked in Calgary for years, and he was our first pick there, and really came into the scene maybe a bit too young at the time. Maybe he wasn't ready. Um, you know, and you got to remember COVID had something to do with that as well. And, I don't know. It was all messed up, and then change of coach, and Daryl wasn't too fond of him in a sense that he felt that this guy had come onto this league way too quick. You know what I mean? Needed to go in the minors. It's funny enough because Shillington started playing, and he'd been the one that'd been sitting out for a year or whatever it was, and a healthy scratch. And it's funny those two flip flop. With that said, um, here's what I'll say. Two parts to it. If you clear. That's something we talk about all the time. Sometimes you might see something here being done the next day or so, or even next week because he's cleared. It just gives you a little more flexibility for some sort of a deal. And people are going to say, well, why are you stupid? You can get him for free or you make a deal. No, again, we always say that, like it's not the free factor. It's sometimes teams are adamant about getting rid of a contract for a contract. So once the guy's cleared, it's a little easier to do. That's one part. Two parts is he does have that extra year. And you got to remember, there's, I don't know, on average at Ball Arena or, 10 guys from around the league, you know what I mean, at every game. Scouting is very important part of an organization. I do believe that scouting, uh, analytics, awesome, eye test, awesome, but there's also a factor of press boxes. You know what I mean? Go see what's going on. Go find out what's happening. Some guys are excellent at it. They snoop and they find out and they try to understand what is happening. And this is the case, obviously, that maybe there is something there that we're not aware of. Obviously, 32 teams, sorry. I mean, 31 other than Utah have passed on it. So, I mean, there might be a little something there. You know what I mean? And then that extra year kind of causes you to pause a little bit and go, ooh, I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'd rather not be tied into something that might be a problem for me later. I don't know. Again, we're speaking out of, we're just assuming right here, right? You know what I mean? You're assuming. We're assuming. But 31 teams passed. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's making $8 million and you know what I mean, like, or whatever it is, like what's his name, Campbell, when he got sent down in the minors, no one was touching him. You know what I mean? Like
Well, that
because
was
of
a
the
long time
contract
ago.
and everything. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like this is more like, okay, why is he going on claim when his contract is very affordable? And he's had some good years in the league and he's still young and he can help out many teams. So it just makes you wonder a little bit, did everybody pass? Is everybody dumb? Or is there something? You know what I mean? So I think sometimes you have to, and you'll never know, right? Unless you're in there, you're part of
Unfortunately,
those
the reality of
conversations.
the NHL, sometimes everybody is dumb.
Yeah, no, which is rare. You know what I mean? That you see that, but you're right, it does happen, but it's rare that everyone's missed the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the most clear one would be maybe what's his name? They're Forsling. You know what I mean? He goes
Yeah.
through and it might have been even multiple times. You know what I mean? And that's an anomaly. You know what I mean? This one is, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those, or maybe it's that there is something there and we're just not sure what it is. Right?
We'll never know,
It's
I'm sure.
again from just a hockey perspective. I know that he has been worse this year than the last two seasons, but he was a top four guy for them the last 2 years in Arizona,
Yep.
and he has struggled more this season in the transition in Utah. That's fine. Like I can live with that. For $2 million, we're talking about a salary cap that is exploding. I would be willing to bet a lot of fake money, virtual currency, that a lot worse defenders make more than $2 million in free agency this summer. I mean, Vancouver's trying to get rid of Carson Soucy, who makes $3.25 through next season as well, and they're trying to dump him. And which guy would you rather have, Soucy or Valimaki? And for me, it's Valimaki. Like, I just don't. This just frustrates me because I'm a fan of the player. I think he's a good player. I think that he could help them. I think that he fits so many of the things that the Avalanche need right now, but doesn't give up the skating ability to do it. I know that his point production is really low. So is Sam Malinsky's, and Sam Malinsky on certain nights looks like a great Av. I mean, my only real annoyance here is that I think Valimaki is a good player and that they will regret this, and they're probably letting an outside factor drive too much of this conversation and forgetting that in trying to win a Stanley Cup, you need good hockey players, and they just watched a good one go right through waivers for no reason. It's not no reason. There are reasons. It's just,
of course, there's always a reason. But like when you look at his underlyings, yes, you can say he's having a down year compared to who he's been the last couple of years. But his down year, arguably his worst season since he's become an NHL regular, is still like league average. Like he's still a fine NHL defenseman as is.
Right.
And you know there's more there. He's shown more upside there. And it's not like we're talking about a guy who's 30. He's 26. It's pretty reasonable to expect him being capable of getting back to the guy he was a year or two ago. And that this is probably his floor.
Yeah, and I mean...
too good to be true.
There definitely is something. There's an external factor that's playing a role in this that right now we're not going to know about, but a week from now we're going to go, oh, okay.
Okay, fine. But he's still a fine NHL defenseman as is.
Exactly, man. I mean, I'm completely with you. Oh, you don't like Calvin DeHaan? Oh, you don't like Keaton Middleton? Oh, you don't like Oliver Shillington? This guy's better than all of them. He's 26 years old. He's signed for $2 million. You're looking for cost efficiency. You're looking for a little more youth. Check. And we're ignoring what he has done over his last 146 games based on the 43 games this season.
Yep.
And that annoys me a little bit. It annoys me because of all the things that I've already said. I'm mad.
Yeah, it feels like an opportunity missed for sure for the Avs on that side. Obviously, the Avs are navigating some interesting waters when it comes to cap hits and things like that, and that's not about to get any easier over the next couple of off seasons and trade deadlines. But you can't be afraid to make the right move if you feel like it is. Obviously, the Avs and the rest of the NHL didn't feel like Valimaki was the right move. So if someone knows something I don't, would not surprise me in the least. But looking at the numbers, it's hard for me to justify Valimaki being on an AHL team right now. I'll put it to you that way. A couple of other news items we have to get into, including Cale's most recent quote. But before we get into those, do need to pay a couple of bills here. So let's jump in on that as I got a list of words for you guys. Do you guys know what a Nifkin is?
No.
Nope.
Do you guys know what a shoodle is?
Totally.
Big shoodle guy here.
Big shoodle guy?
Yeah. A shoe with a poodle. Yeah, a poodle that's walking around with a shoe.
Yeah. All of these things are a grundle. All a name for the grundle. All right, you can whatever you call it. You can make
big shoodle guy,
big shoodle guy. Whatever you call it, you can keep it clean with Mando. Make sure you're getting in with Mando to keep your whole body clean, not just your grundles, but your butt cracks, your balls, you name it. They've got you covered at Mando. And when you use code DNVR, you'll get $5 off their starter pack and free shipping on their starter pack today. They have a bunch of great products, a bunch of different scents to choose from: bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. Go get with them. That starter pack comes with 2 different deodorants, both cream tube deodorant and a stick of deodorant, as well as 2 other items of your choice. So a bunch of great choices when it comes to Mando. Make sure you're getting yourself clean. Make sure you're using that starter pack. It's perfect for new customers, and it comes with a all right, wait a minute. I already told you that. It comes with $5 off with that DNVR code at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Let them know we sent you over there. Show some support to us. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Once you're smelling right, whatever part of your body you're talking about, make sure you're also feeling right when you're driving into where you need to go. That is where Toyota comes into play. The official vehicle of DNVR is Toyota, whatever vehicle you're in. Doesn't matter if you're a truck guy, doesn't matter if you're an SUV guy, doesn't matter if you're a sedan guy or girl. Doesn't matter. They got vehicles for everybody. Jump in, 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles. So if you like going off-roading or you just like the security of knowing your vehicle will grip the road, they've got you covered there. And they've got 16 vehicles that are hybrids. So they'll save you money on gas no matter where you're traveling. Either way, Toyota's got you covered, not just for DNVR. They're also the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. So jump in with them. Make sure you're getting to your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota, Boulder, Groove Toyota, Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. A quote from Cale after the game the other night. This is a huge point in the season for us. I think every guy on this team, we've got to prove to management that this should be a group that they invest in. And if we keep having games like this, it's going to be hard for them to justify it. Well, we're here playing silly season. Did we forget to ask the question, should the Avs even be buyers in the first place?
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
yes, I'm a believer. I'm going to say it. I think that you're too far down that path. You know what I mean? Like you retold your goaltending. When it was failing, right? You know what I mean? It was like you were showing your core group that you needed to do what you did because you can't pass the opportunities of the windows of those guys that are in there, the Cales, the McKinnon. You got the Norris Trophy winner. You got the leading scorer in the National Hockey League, our trophy winner. You can't be missing those opportunities. You can't be missing those windows. You can't watch the train go by. That's why I love what was done for the goaltending position. Again, the Mikko thing is more like a side thing. We're not going to go back to tie this to Mikko's. You know what I mean? I said what I said. I think he left them no choice, and they had to do what they had to do. But as of now, I do believe I am a believer. I am, a buyer, so to speak. And I understand what Cale is saying because that's been said. It had to have been said. You know what I mean? Like, guys, we're going to do whatever we're going to do. But at some point, you got to put in your big boy pants and you got to go and do it. You know what I mean? You can't just, assume that we're going to do it. But you got to show that you guys belong there. You got to show that you are who you are and that there's a belief inside the room. You know what I mean? We believe in you guys, but there's got to be a belief inside the room. And I think they fell short of it, way short of it. Those last 48 hours. You know what I mean? And I think that's a fair comment by Cale because it was brought up. But yeah, it puts red flags in my head, but I'm still a believer. I still think they get out of this little funk. And again, 2 games ago, like they said, it wasn't that bad. And that's what Bednar's response was that, we played pretty good. I liked our game. I understand that, but you follow that up with that game last night. And you're like, yikes. You know what I mean? Like, what is there to say? And then I think he kind of said it too. Like, yeah, it wasn't good. You know what I mean? And there's guys that haven't had points in 15 games and, all the above. But man, you know what I mean? Like that kind of hits you when Cale says that because he's right. You know what I mean? And that it's been brought up by management. Now, do I believe that they still go and do it and, go for it and things will fall into place? Yes. Did I sleep good last night thinking about the Avalanche? No. You know what I mean? Because I started to feel a little bit of tension and a little bit of nerves, you know what I mean? Where uneasiness. You know what I mean? Where I'm usually good, I was a little bit uneasy yesterday. That kind of hit me a little bit in the face there, that game.
Yeah.
It's pretty disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely a disappointing couple of games. AJ, I read your piece after the game. I think you and I probably felt pretty similar after that one. I guess my question is, and you talk about some of these stats, the Avs haven't scored a depth forward goal in the month of February. Obviously, that's a little exaggerated because there were 2 weeks off in February, but at what point does it stop becoming, hey, I'm being a hostage of the moment when the Avs are in a bad stretch and it becoming maybe the Avs aren't that good?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just depth, but in my piece last night, I wrote that forwards have outscored defensemen 7-6 in February. So it's not even like Martin Necas and Arturi Lehkonen and Nathan McCann have gone absolutely bonkers here. That's not the case. So it's they just haven't scored goals, and you look at the personnel. Arturi Lehkonen's your leading goal scorer. Like, girl, please. Ross Colton has 5 goals in 32 games. Like, Miles Wood has 2 goals this year. I don't care that he's only played 20 games. That's 2 goals. What? Logan O'Connor has 0 points in 13 games.
Yep.
0. Like we're talking about, oh well, Yoel Kiviranta is your saving grace. He's got 11 goals. Yeah, and what? 9 of them came across 3 different games.
Yeah.
Like this hasn't been. Casey Middlestead has 9 goals on the year. No matter how you try and break it down by game number, 9 goals for your second line center. He better have 30 assists. Spoiler, he doesn't. It's there's no way that you break this down outside of Nathan McKinnon and say that it's been acceptable from that group. McKinnon's doing everything that he can. It's hard to get upset with him in like these 2 games over the weekend when you see that he creates some of the best looks that they have. He's supposed to score on every chance that they get for them to win. They're not going to win.
Yeah.
Like it's just not that. I think everything feels worse than it is right now because the 2 losses were so frustrating. The loss in Nashville, they thoroughly outplayed the Predators and should have won that game. And then they come out and they just don't even show up for the Blues game. I can live with the Preds loss. Losses like that, that's hockey, baby. But last night, just watching them come out with no jump, no fire that's not a good Blues team. What the no. It's just not. It's just
and not a good Nashville team either.
No, Nashville responded by getting blown out 5-0 by New Jersey, who, by the way, is coming into Denver on Wednesday. Like, I'm just not. It's frustrating. And I also tweeted out last night, the Avs have had their top 6 forwards healthy for 4 games this season.
Yep.
4 games. They played their 59th game of the year last night. So, yes, health continues to be an ongoing thing. It's not as bad as it was in the year. And there isn't some imaginary line where you get to draw and say, okay, well, I'm tired of talking about injuries, so they don't matter anymore. That's stupid. I'm not using this as some sort of an excuse here, but also your top 6 forward core has been healthy for 4 games. In case anybody was curious, they went 3-1 in those games. So it went okay.
Yeah.
It went okay. But outside of that, they've not been healthy. The guys who have been healthy have not been good enough. They haven't been productive enough. Outside, like Lehkonen with the goal scoring has been great. You can't ask for more than that. Jonathan Drouin has almost a point per game, and I think he's at 23 points in 26 games, something like that.
Yep.
Like he's doing everything that you want out of him. Realistically, if you're trying to get those guys if you're trying to get Jonathan Drouin to be a 25 goal scorer, you're asking the wrong things of him. Casey Middlestat, the same thing. Casey Middlestat only has X number of goals. Yeah, when they got him, he's supposed to be a 15 goal guy. He's supposed to be a big time playmaker for you. Some of that has happened. But not enough of it is the problem. There's just not enough from everybody that you look around in that lineup and you say, okay, well, points aren't everything for Miles Wood and Logan O'Connor, and that's great, but those guys still have to produce points at some point. Parker Kelly hasn't scored. Fine. Parker Kelly sucked offensively when they signed him. Now they made him a center, so he's going to be even worse. But fine, whatever, fine. But guys that they have given big money to, big extensions to, a lot of years, a lot of commitment. Ross Colton's getting paid $4 million right now. We're 59 games into the season. He almost has $1 million per assist. We're almost there. 3 assists. I know he missed a chunk of games, but he's been healthy since mid-December. Like, the lineup just it's not producing. It's not producing.
I know this is the $1 million question, and you can't just give me the answer, because if you could, you'd be working for the Avs and they wouldn't be sucking. But how do you fix it? How much of this is a season low swing and it will get better? How much of this is they need to add a piece to help fix things? How much of this is there's something else broken? Is it fixable in the first place? Where do you fall on that scale?
Well, I look no further than somebody on chats was saying it as I was thinking it. Like, does Val really answer a lot of? I think Val does. You know what I mean? Like, and they were saying, maybe Wednesday he's in, right? Again, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see him on the ice, puck drop with a real jersey, not a practice jersey, and certainly not shorts with his skates, right? So I think when I see that, then I'll believe it. But does he answer a lot of those questions? I think he does. I think Val, when he's been in the lineup this year, has been very effective, right? I mean, obviously,
yeah, of course.
He's, what was he, almost a point a game, right? Or a point a game.
17 and 21.
And we all know the last couple of games he was not very good. And again, something was bothering him probably, or with that injury that obviously he's been ailing. Does he answer some of that? Yeah, he does. I listened to the presser last night. Obviously, we were talking about the Olympic guys, not Olympic, but Four Nations guys. Please just show up Wednesday. Don't show up at the rink next couple of days. And I think that was the plan. And I heard him say that they're both going to get days off, and the team's going to be skating Tuesday. But I think if you're getting a rested trio of awesome players in 7, 8, and 29 makes a big difference, from what you saw. Yes, they clearly out of gas, clearly tired, clearly on an emotional low compared to an emotional high they were just on. And that's not disrespecting their team. It's just a fact. It's human nature. And I think that if you add maybe the return of Val, how good's Val going to be? He's going on what, 2 months now? Like, what are we looking at? Like, it's been a while, right? I mean, it's just like when he came back from the start of the season. I'm trying to remember. I think it took him a couple games, right, to get his footing and, get going. Maybe you'll see the same thing there, or maybe you don't. All of a sudden, but he makes a difference. But on the other hand, like, somebody's going to get bumped off the, I'm assuming it's the best net front presence in the league. Somebody's going to get bumped to the second power play, which we all know is non-existent. You know what I mean? So then all of a sudden that guy's production is going to go down. Is it? I don't know who it is. Like, who is it that's going to go down? Is it? I don't know. You know what I mean? Is it Lecky? Is it Jonathan? Is it? I don't know. I'm assuming Lecky. In my book, I don't know, but no, we're going to say, God, he's not scoring anymore. Yeah, a little. I don't know. it's not even just how many power play goals you get, it's the confidence you get from being out there and maybe sneak a point here and there, and then the ice time, and you feel good about your game. You know what I mean? So I think the answer is Val's going to make a big difference. And I do believe that, if you feel that Casey, it's not going to turn, and if you feel that it was, I hate the word mistake, you know what I mean? If it was, it's not a fit, then I guess we'll know these next 10 days. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you'll see, you know what I mean? Because if there's something out there that's put out there that they have to do it, then again, it's like the what's his name? Rantanen. Well, if we get Natchez, we're doing it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe there is a target like that for Middlestat, because what's better out there? I don't know.
We can talk about it. I want to continue this conversation. Do have to take a quick break here first, though, as we are brought to you by Bet365. You can go get with Bet365 today. Use the QR code on the screen to download the app. Use code DNVR365 when you sign up for a new account. Bet $5 on anything, and win or lose, you get $100 in bonus bets that you get to play with. You can do whatever you want with them. It's basically free money to go bet. If you think the Avs can get it back together, if you think they're still contenders, you might be able to get decent money on picking them to win it all right now. If you think the Avs are frauds and are going to miss the playoffs, you might be able to get decent money on that bet too. Go with it either way. Whatever your heart feels. Doesn't even have to be the Avs. You can bet on the Nuggets. You can bet on pretty much any sport under the sun, if that's your thing. And do it with Bet365. And, of course, whatever you're betting on with them, make sure you use those bonus bets and take advantage of their great boosted bets every single day. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or somebody who knows a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Once you've made a few bucks with Bet365, make sure you're choosing chill. Get yourself with Coors Light today and get that ice-cold beer. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can to let you know it's chilled and ready to drink. A fantastic beer for any event, like when we take over Ball Arena this Friday. You can have yourself some Coors Lights in the suite. You can head over to CoorsLight.com/DNVR too. You don't even have to get off your couch. You get it delivered right to your front door thanks to Instacart, making it super easy. You check the fridge, it's empty. You can get it delivered while you're watching the game. It's that easy with Coors Light. So make sure you get in with them. Again, CoorsLight.com/DNVR, thanks to Instacart, to get it delivered right to your front door so you can kick back, relax, and choose chill with Coors Light. Again, go get with them. Highly recommend them. They're available everywhere. If you don't want to get them delivered, you can find them. Trust me, you'll find it. Of course, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. AJ, did you want to jump in on that topic at all, or should we move on?
I'm good.
Okay. Look, regardless of how you feel, I do think the Avs are still buyers at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
The idea that, look, the one way you are truly wasting a year, I see people in our chat that are dooming about how all the Avs are wasting the prime years of McKinnon and Makar. The one way you definitely do that is by not buying at the deadline and just saying, throw this year away. Then yes, congratulations. You've wasted a year of Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. You want to have an argument about, is the risk worth it? How close are the Avs to really winning Cup? Maybe you can have that conversation. Not going to do it here. What we're going to do here is take a look at some potential options the Avs have that maybe didn't make our trade board, that maybe could be out there that haven't been considered as heavily. Now, we did a show on Marchand the other day. You can go check that one out if you want to talk a little bit more about that angle. But there are a couple of other ones I want to get into. Over the Four Nations break, E and I did a show on Jared McCann, who's apparently on the block. AJ, I'm curious if you had any thoughts on McCann as an option for an Av, if it even makes sense at all.
McCann, I mean, there's a lot that I really like about Jared McCann. He's a good goal scorer. I guess that's it. He's a good goal scorer. all the other stuff, it's fine, right? Like it doesn't move me that much, but primarily he scores goals. His contract is really solid. It's really fair. The problem here is that he didn't really start producing in the NHL until he got to Seattle, where they stopped playing him at center. When he was at center, he was an underwhelming first-round pick who was just okay. He could do some good things. He gets to Seattle, they move him to wing, he starts scoring goals. And obviously the 40-goal season, everybody knew that Seattle charmed that year, and everything about that organization got to have the, hey, hockey's fun, and now they're realizing that this is actually pretty hard. McCann would be great. Let's live in the world for the moment where Jared McCann next to Casey Middlestat is fine, right? They get goals. Mm-hmm. Casey Middlestat's play, the process takes a little bit better of a turn, and it's not Casey Middlestat and Juuso Parssinen out there on some conditioning assignments, like Middlestat, McCann, Nichushkin, Drouin, whatever combination you wanted to put out there, you really like that. But we have to at least be honest that Jared McCann is not a trade target to come in here and take Casey Middlestat's job as second line center. Because if that's the expectation, I think we are getting really hyped about the possibility of a guy that's going to let you down.
Yeah,
and
I would agree. He's not a center.
Yeah, because that's the big thing with the McCann conversation. He's a really good player. They need a goal scorer. Blah 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 blah. That's great. All that stuff is great. I'm with all of that. He's just a really good wing. So I would be very excited about a really good wing. That's great. I love that. Sweet. Send them Miles Wood and Ross Colton and Oliver Shillington and all the other guys that people don't want on the roster anymore. Great. They'll take all that for sure. They'll definitely say yes to that. So do whatever. I'm comfortable with the idea of Jared McCann, but if you blow the assets, if you blow the trade assets on a guy like Jared McCann, you're committing to Casey Middlestat. And
I would say that's a good way
you're saying we are going to try and make it work around him because for all the things that have gone poorly for Casey Middlestat this year, you can absolutely look at and say, who are his line mates this year? He hasn't had a consistent line mate. He hasn't. It has been absolute chaos for Casey Middlestat, and this isn't even like I'm working super hard to make excuses to try it and say that he hasn't been bad or anything like that, right? Like that's not what we're talking about here. But in case anybody's curious, his most common line mate has been Ross Colton, Mikko Rantanen, Logan O'Connor, Val Nichushkin, Nikolai Kovalenko, Arturi Lehkonen, and a lot of like split minutes there. A lot of guys over 100 minutes. So Casey Middlestat has gotten to play a little bit with a lot of guys. So anyway, I just don't. McCann is fine, dude. Like he's a really good player, but he's a wing. So if that's what you feel, when you look at the Avs roster on paper, their wings should be their strength. And the fact that has not been the case tells you that we're just living through some good old classic underperformance here. Mm-hmm. And the Avs haven't had to go through very much of this over the last 5 years. They've had a lot of career years and a lot of guys who have built better and gone on and been way better elsewhere. And we're just living through some guys going through it. Ross Colton, Casey Middlestat, Miles Wood, great examples of dudes doing that right now.
Technically, the Avs are still having plenty of career years. It's just career worst years.
Not good, Bob.
Or you get like Arturi Lehkonen leads your team in goal scoring the same year that Nathan McKinnon's goal scoring is down significantly from previous levels. You know, or hey, Marty Netchus is having a great career year, but 90% of it happened elsewhere. He needs to continue to have that here for you to feel better about it. All that stuff. But specifically about McCann, great. But you would have to, it probably spells the end of Jonathan Drouin in Colorado, which would suck.
Certainly, dude. Same.
But like you're talking about a really good player signed for a really reasonable amount of money for the next couple of years. That would help you. He's a goal scorer. He would help you. Does it solve all of the underlying issues that you think exist right now? No, but it gets you a little bit closer. It's an impact guy. Mm-hmm. It's an impact guy.
Okay. let me throw you one, unless you want to add to that. Are you good?
I'm good.
All right. Let me throw you one that I think
About
will take
McCann, we
about.
talked enough of the other.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ
Me and he
had
did a
no
whole
chance.
show on it, so you
Yeah.
can go hear our thoughts on that one. I'm going to throw a name at you. I'm expecting this conversation to be 10 seconds long, but you know, we knew the Avs were in on JT Miller at one point. Obviously, they aren't the ones to make the deal. Supposedly, Vancouver is still shopping EP40. I know the money, it would be ridiculous to make it work for the Avs, but a month and a day ago, I'd have told you there's no chance in hell the Avs trade Mikko Rantanen, and now Mikko Rantanen might get traded again by another team. So anything is possible on this planet, as far as I'm concerned. Is there any universe where EP40 could be in the conversation even for the Avs?
I'm good.
I'm good too. Here's what I'll say, and again, I'm not really privy to what is going on there. I mean, there's something going on there, obviously. I mean, and Miller left, and now this guy's getting challenged every day, and he's not responding, and there's something off about him, whatever that is. I would stay away. That's just me, unless I really knew the root of what the problem is. You know what I mean? Because at Four Nations, he was not very good at all. On top of it, and you would have thought that that's going back to your roots, your language, as Zibanejad talked about it. Like, oh, it's fun to speak, Swedish in the locker room. Coaches, practice. The coaches are talking Swedish, and we're all doing our stuff in Sweden, like we were little kids, and it brings us back to what we are and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, this guy was non-existent there. And then he just scared. I mean, there's a lot of red flags there for me. I wouldn't touch it, and that's a heavy contract. If things don't go well, that is a heavy contract. That is a scary contract.
Yeah.
So Rosemont, no thanks. I agree.
I don't think it's justifiable, but had to throw it out there.
No, yeah, I think the acquisition cost, the contract, all of that, and then you're looking at Elias Pettersson is a sweet kid, and I think that's probably his biggest problem as an NHLer, and he needs emotional rehab just to learn to love hockey again, because right now it looks like he's the most miserable human on the planet. I feel for him. He needs one of those soulful hugs where somebody doesn't say anything, they just walk up and they just give him a big hug. He needs to feel loved again, and he needs to translate that into loving hockey, because right now he just looks unbelievably miserable. I say no for a handful of reasons, but I will definitely say I absolutely love the player when he's actually
when
himself.
Yeah, when he's normal. Right now he's not normal, and that really sucks. It's hard to watch, honestly.
Jamie in the chat asking about a Schenn brother. AJ's usually more of a Luke Schenn guy, but what about Brayden as an option for the Avs at sea?
I tweeted about this the other day. I don't actually know if I tweeted it or if I just wrote it into a piece. It's all kind of blurred into a lot of talking about stuff lately. But Brayden Schenn has one more point than Casey Middlestat does. He's 7 years older, and he's signed for 4 more seasons at more money than what Middlestat makes. So instead of people saying, hi, AJ, how do you feel about this? My response is usually just going to be, why do you think this is a good idea? Because I can buy the intangible part of it, the heart and soul. He plays with that passion and the emotion and the physicality, and he works his tail off and all those things. That's great. Those are all very true things. But production-wise, he's not anything different than what you already have, and if you're going to go get an older guy like that, truly, why aren't you just calling Calgary and asking what Nazem Kadri's up to? If you're comfortable living with the aging curve and that kind of money, go get a dude that you love, that you know works, that is still really productive out there. Brayden Schenn makes no sense to me, personally. It makes no sense to me.
the only thing that's the sandpaper, like you talked about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it just gives you a different style and a better fit, and that's why for me, Ryan O'Reilly's my guy.
Same.
That's
Yeah,
why.
well, O'Reilly's on our trade board, not on the dark horse list. So
No, I know.
Also true.
I'm saying, but that's exactly. That's why it's like that's the difference between Ryan and Brayden Schenn for me. You know what I mean? Which puts one on one board and one on the other board.
okay.
Schenn just has there's so many pockmarks there where if we were talking about him as like a 3C, it's a different conversation. He's too expensive, blah, 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 blah. But sure, like I would be open to that conversation. But as replacing Casey Middlestat, this is dumb, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would agree. Let's talk about a guy that isn't replacing Casey Middlestat, but is potentially adding production into your bottom six. You guys were, well, certainly AJ was heavily against this guy when we made our trade board.
Oh,
I'm
are
curious-
we about to talk about Scott Laughton?
We are.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Look, man. Here's the conversation I want to have with Scott Laughton, though. Given what has happened over the last month with the Avs' depth production or lack thereof, Scott Laughton has 27 points this year already. He's essentially coming off 2 40-point seasons. He's a goal scorer. It has an 18-goal season, had a 13-goal season, probably on his way to a 15-ish goal season this year. Is there at least more interest from you there, AJ, if you're looking for a depth point producer? I understand the underlines don't look great. I understand there are some concerns there. But given the Avs' current situation, is there at least more interest from you there?
This one would depend a lot on acquisition cost because Philadelphia has continued to hang on to him, saying, well, he's only paid $3 million and we love him and he's a heart and soul guy and he's a leader in our room. And great. All of that is great. Keep him. Cool. Keep him. Seriously, like I'm the $3 million. So what? It's not such an insanely good value that you're looking at one of the league's best contracts. You're talking about a guy whose underlying numbers have completely cratered. So it's goal scoring. He's gonna bring a couple of goals here and there to your bottom six. He's got positional versatility. That's all good. That's fine. I'm like, there are positives in his game, but the acquisition cost sounds like it's astronomical. Why would I worry about that? You could go into free agency and get a similar kind of deal and feel better than that. I'm so against this because I think it starts with the acquisition cost, but also because the player has been so not good for several seasons now that I get the appeal of it when you look at like individual things, but when you put them all together, I just look at a guy that I don't think is very good and I don't see moving the needle. Like if you're going to ask me one-on-one, is he better than Miles Wood? Yeah. Great. Okay. Now. Yeah. Are the Avs going to trade Miles Wood for Scott Laughton straight up? Because if that's the case, cool.
It had been done yesterday.
But if we're talking, it's got to be Miles Wood and it's got to be 2 second-round picks, or it's got to be Mikhail Guliev, like, Ilya Nabokov, like we're talking about top prospects and high picks and all that. For Scott Laughton, girl, please.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think the biggest barrier of entry is the price. If it was a reasonable price, look, I think there are a lot of interesting things about here. One, the production is there, even if the underlines are bad. The guy finds a way to put pucks in the net and finds a way to produce in a way that the Avs depth just isn't this season. You also have an extra year there. So it's not just a pure rental for the Avs. Yeah. If they believe there's upside there, it would have a little bit of extra value there. But again,
awesome. If they want to watch him suck for 2 playoffs.
oh, come on, bro. He's not that bad. But if they want a first round pick for it, yeah, get lost.
No, he's not that bad, and I don't mind him. I'm not like AJ, meaning like AJ does not like him. I get it. Me, it's more I'm okay with him. He's really loved in that locker room there. He's really loved by Torts. He's really loved by that organization. You might even see him stick around. I don't know. Who knows what they're going to do there. Doesn't sound like he wants to leave, but the second part is I think you got Jack Drury. You know what I mean? And for me, that Jack Drury probably can be a better player than Scott Lott in my book if given the opportunity to perform. You know what I mean? So and that's just my thought on it.
If we're talking about underlings, Jack Drury's a better player than Scott Lawton right now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So
you got to score goals, though. Jack Drury has 5
that's
goals.
What I'm saying.
And that's,
exactly.
I know. That's what I said. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You got to go out there and produce. And if you're given that opportunity, you got to go and do it, right? You remember, I say it all the time. If you're given an opportunity, you give him some nice ice time and some decent players to play with, it's your duty as a National Hockey League player, especially on a team like the Avs, that you got to go and produce. You know what I mean? Like you just do. You know what I mean? Or it's not okay to not produce. It's not. And if you're not, well, challenge yourself and go do it.
I want to switch us over to the defenseman side, and our list had a lot of defensemen on it. I don't know that there are realistically too many dark horse defensemen that didn't make our list, but I want to throw 2 names at you. And I'm not expecting very positive reactions to this name. I'm reaching onto these for sure. But let me throw 2 names at you. One, Ryan Lindgren. His play has fallen off a cliff. His cost as far as contract for the year, pretty expensive. But if you believe there could be a bounce back to that game, he's 26. He could do a lot of things in theory in years where he's played better that might make sense for the Avs.
Lindgren, I think, is a guy that I don't think I would trade for him unless it was like really cheap and you were like right at the deadline and you had nothing else was going to happen and you could live with a really cheap price. But he is a guy that I think I will already put on a reclamation project, like 1-year contract for next season.
Sure.
I would have interest in something like that because I really liked him a couple of years ago. But I'm not really like just his current contract, getting him even with full retention really makes it hard to do a lot else. And it's more of the same. Like even though his physicality and his size and all that would scratch the itch of what the defense currently needs, it's just not he's not played well enough for me, and I don't think the upside is high enough. What the Avs really need to do, they don't need another third pairing guy. It's fine. They've got a bunch of them that they can cycle through, but they need a guy that can have a higher impact than that, and Lindgren just isn't that for me. I would be much more interested in a reclamation summer contract than I would be a deadline.
Well said. He's a battler. You got to give him that. He is a hell. He's a battler. This guy works. Obviously played a lot with Fox. Somebody, I don't remember, is it Jason Demers? I heard yesterday somewhere saying that Adam Fox needs a new partner. Somebody with a little bit more pedigree than just a battler or a tugboat or whatever you want to call that. Like in Ryan Lindgren, good person. Just like his brother Charlie, they're a really good family. They're good team guys, and they really leave it all on the line. But I don't think he really moves the needle, for me. He's more a 6th, 7th. You know what I mean? If you're trying to win, in my book, or 4, 5. Not 4, 5, but 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. But yeah, I do like the
chart.
bite,
I just DM'd you guys on Slack to see how far his career has fallen off over the last 2 seasons. But
I mean, again, there's a lot of mileage in there. This guy's worked hard. He's played hard. I mean, I think it's sometimes there's no more juice in, that you're squeezing, right? You know what I mean? It's
now,
we'll try.
Yeah. Now keep looking at that graph to distract yourselves from what I'm about to suggest, because this is purely a win one for the Gipper moment. You did it with Parise already. Is it Ryan Suter's turn?
I thought we were working towards Erik Karlsson, where I thought we were going to have an actual conversation. You're talking about Ryan Suter? No, get out of here. I'll swat that out of here. I'm not allowed to say adult words anymore, but I'm batting that out of here. No, thank you. Next.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like that way too.
He's washed. I get it. He's washed.
The pace is like.
The pace has been a problem for a few years, but he's also got an arrogance about him that thinks he needs to play all the damn time. And it's just like, what are we doing here with this guy? Now he still remains like he's effective in this like bottom pairing role, but as an Av, no. He's the SS Raijo of defense.
We're running out of time here, but if you guys have any suggestions on the defensive side for dark horses, I'm open to them.
Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, okay.
Not.
Definitely affordable and makes any sense, for sure.
All gas, no brakes, baby. We want goals. Let's just don't worry about defense.
Who needs a second line?
Just be fun to watch, dude. Your forwards have outscored your defensemen 7-6 this month. Go get Erik Karlsson. Yeah. Let's change that up, man. Let's get them at 7-7. Let's do this. No, other guys that I am actually keeping an eye on, probably more summer conversations though. Jamie Alexiak from Seattle. That's one that I at least have an interest in. And then the big home run swing, I don't think this is actually truly in play, but you really never know what the hell is going on in Long Island. But if Noah Dobson is available, the Avalanche should be doing irresponsible things for Noah Dobson.
What's irresponsible?
Pretty much nothing realistic is off.
The cupboards are open. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want?
Like him.
I'll give you Casey. I'll give you Val. I'll give you Richie. I'll give you Firsts. I'll give you Nabokov. I don't care. Noah Dobson is the truth.
Is there no concern for what that next contract looks like for him?
Hell no, because you're going to have to move out enough money off your books that you'll be able to balance it.
Yeah, all right.
You'll just sign him and you'll be like, yeah, no problem. This is easy. So
irresponsible.
No, exactly, dude. Yeah, I'm good. You make that nastiness work, son. Noah Dobson rocks.
All right, fair enough. Any forwards
trade Cal Ritchie for Noah Dobson before people realize Cal Ritchie's just what we thought he was on draft night.
Oof. Hope I'm wrong about that.
Still got time, Cal.
Any forwards? You've got about 45 seconds to name a forward.
Oh man, off the top of my head, Oliver Bjorkstrand from Seattle is another guy that I'm gonna keep an eye on.
I like him.
So
that's
been a big fan for a long time. What?
Is he really going to be gettable at the deadline, or is that an off-season move?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same kind of conversation with McCann, right? Like
Sure.
they would be smart to wait until this summer to maximize the market before doing it now. But yeah,
I'm pretty confident we all have no interest in Trevor Zegras.
Not for me.
Put me at 2% interest.
Okay,
98%
really
interest.
the number. All right, yeah, great.
Is that irresponsible?
I mean, if they're giving him away, I have a lot of interest. But
look,
when he actually
Seattle really wants to capitalize and move on from their bad year. Matty Beniers, baby, let's go, Matty Beniers.
No price too high.
Troy Terry.
I don't know. Either way, we are wrapping up our show for the day. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. Keep your eyes out. AJ's got a big piece coming. We got a ton of videos coming on the Avalanche trade board targets. It'll be fun.
Tomorrow.
Yep. It's coming out. Tomorrow. So gear up, get ready. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.